Hello everyone, happy Star Wars Day. My name is Saye, and today we design a dish garden inspired by Return of the Jedi. Dish gardens are plantings made in a shallow container and represent a miniature landscape. I've been making them for years and love how detailed they can be. After a particularly successful design in 2014, I brought it home, and to my surprise, my family started placing minifigures in it, and that's when I realized how they could become a way for my entire family to enjoy gardening. The inspiration for this garden came from the forest moon of Endor. I was looking for a scene that I could replicate, and this had the added bonus of a very recognizable structure, the back entrance to the shield generator. I could make that. These are the supplies I've used to make this dish garden. A 16-inch 40-centimeter dish, a plastic cover that I got at a dollar store, wet floral foam, as well as waterproof silicone, some cutting tools, and in case you want an authentic feel, you can use a lightsaber. I just stuck to a knife and an X-Acto blade, some wood chips, and for building up the structure, gravel, charcoal, potting soil, a selection of woodland plants, and of course my favorite, moss. We'll begin by making a structure out of foam and gluing it down with the waterproof silicone. We'll also add wood chips to hold the soil in place. While it sets for 2 days, it's a perfect chance for us to make our bunker. Next, we'll build the landscape by putting down a layer of gravel, charcoal, soil, rocks, and then adding plants and moss to it. Now, you can start to put in your favorite characters and enjoy the dish garden. I'll use a knife to shape pieces of foam so they fit nicely in the dish, and I'll attach them, as well as the wood bark, with the waterproof silicone. But you have to remember to let it set for 2 days before you do any planting. This is the perfect time for you to make the bunker. I begin by drawing the front and side views to get basic dimensions. I'll post a copy of this drawing on my blog if you want to use it. There's also a pattern sheet that you can use to cut out the foam, and all you do is trace it onto a tracing paper, get the foam with the right dimensions, and then cut the pattern and tape it on, and then follow the instructions. You can cut off a section to create the roof once you have the basic shape, and you can bevel it according to the pattern. And even use an X-Acto and then file down the doorway. Creating detail on the roof is as simple as using an X-Acto. It's very easy to shape. And then you can just have more fun, like creating the detail for the door or cutting thin pieces to create siding. All you have to do is attach them with hot glue. You can cut and shape other pieces of foam to add more detail as you want. So have fun. Loose mixing the white, black, and brown acrylic craft paint creates a waterproof layer when it dries, but the variations in color and the green foam coming through gives it a really nice weathered look. Well, it's now been 2 days and my dish garden has set fully. The silicone has cured, I have my basic shape, and now I can start putting the different layers together. Start by putting down a thick layer of gravel to hold the extra water, and on top of it, horticultural charcoal. Use the link below to get a 10% discount where I buy my own charcoal. It goes a long way to keeping your soil sweet. And on top of that, I put dampened potting soil. It's got to be damp, otherwise your plants will not thrive. Now, since I want this to be as close as possible to the actual movie, there's a flat area in front of the structure, so I'm gonna use a piece of slate to try to show that, capture that, and glue my structure on top of it. I'll glue the structure in place, and I'll continue adding some soil to build up the hill and cover up all the foam. But one thing I need to do is make sure the foam is fully saturated with water. So I'll uncover it and keep pouring water at a couple different locations. So now that the foam is completely wet, we're ready to start planting. But the question is, what are the plants that are suitable? There's two things we need to consider. One is scale, and the other one is suitability. So first case, you want plants that are very small and look like they would match the scale of your figures. So it doesn't look like they're in a giant forest. And so you want to have things with small leaves, small structures. And the second one is suitability. And you want them to live in the similar kind of condition. And this is a condition similar to woodland terrarium. So I have a segment on propagating plants for woodland terrarium. Take a look at that. And also look at the types of plants that are recommended. We're going to be using the very same plants, but keeping the leaves very small and the scale similar. Let's try it. I'll use a spoon to dig some holes into the floral foam, add some water to make sure it's wet, and then put in my tall plants. This helps me know the highest point within this dish garden. I'll add more soil as needed to cover the top of the bunker, but of course, no dish garden is complete without my favorite plants, and those are African violets. Two varieties that I put in here, one is Wes's Hoodoo Priestess, hybridized by a dear friend, as well as Senks Anemone, which is one of the strangest violets out there. It's going to add the perfect atmosphere. And I'll continue by filling it in the other areas with little ferns and different plants. And soon, everything starts coming together. When I'm not working on this dish garden, I'll use that plastic greenhouse to cover it so it doesn't dry out overnight. Now we look at moss, but it's not the kind of moss Star Wars fans usually think about. I love moss. Nothing adds that lush look to any gardening project as moss. You just use a little plastic scraper, scrape it up, and put it on a damp paper towel. I find it in patio cracks, off of stones, even in between grass, and it's all gorgeous. I'll bring it in, take out the debris, make sure that it's got a good soaking because it dries out very quickly, and have it for things like a dish garden. It is fantastic. It stabilizes the soil, it stops it from drying out, and it creates that lush look that you just can't get with anything else. And you can see in the slopes and everything, it's perfect. It actually stops the soil from slipping out. And I go in with these really long tweezers and I add little bits in between plants just to make sure the soil is as covered as possible. But there's still another way that I love moss. And if you've looked at the method that I show in growing moss on wood, you'll recognize this. I use this method to create these moss-covered logs, which are just a fixture in the Return of the Jedi. And now we can start having fun. What can I say? I had so much fun creating these scenes from the different segments. And how about you take a look, see if you spot what the scenes are and some of the interesting details happening. The bumpy landscape was a little difficult to manage, but it worked out, and to my delight, I was even able to use the larger figures that I had to come up with some interesting scenes. This shot is actually my favorite. And of course, some scout troopers relaxing, but ooh, be careful. 2 Ewoks ambushing them. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video and are inspired to create a dish garden for your favorite characters. Can't wait to see what you come up with. In the meantime, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get to see all the crazy stuff I'm going to come up with. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, may the Force be with you as you garden.